Welcome back, boys and girls, to another episode of K-Faith Comparisons. My name is Mr. Knowitall, Daniel John Schafer, and today I am joined once again by the king of frontside 180 kickflips, Mr. Wex, breakin and Lawson. Wex, how are we doing on this Christmas Eve?
Pretty tired. It's early in the morning. Stayed up late watching the Titans get that victory over San Francisco, and then
They did indeed.
Then I woke up early to watch some more wrestling to get ready for this.
Yes, big shout out to Jimmy G, the MVP of the Titans yesterday.
Yes,
absolutely loved that. Throwing just dots to the defense. Well done, buddy. Yeah, man, it's Christmas season. My kids are running around downstairs. I'm excited. I got a lot of cool stuff going on this weekend for Christmas, and yeah, I don't think I ever truly grew up, so Christmas is still kind of like my favorite holiday. But I'm excited. Did you get any feedback on last week's episode?
Last week's episode, I got a little bit of feedback in that same coworker who's been listening to it. You know,
nice.
They enjoy where it's going, and I let them know that it will keep getting better as we keep getting into the new year.
Yeah, it most certainly will. I didn't actually get any feedback, but I saw that we got a massive spike in downloads. So we got to keep up with that social media. Welcome to the new listeners. We greatly appreciate that. We're having a great time here. Today, we are doing a double nostalgia episode. It's a double 1996 episode. It's WWF's In Your House. It's Time 1996 versus WCW Starrcade 1996. But first, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, what's the news, man? What's the haps? What's going on in the scene, Wex?
Got a lot of stuff going on in wrestling today. We got a big AEW Rampage show happening on TV as Friday as we speak, but, you know, might have been spoiled online, but I'm not going to spoil it for you if you're listening to this. But we did get a big debut this week on Dynamite. The debut of Kyle O'Reilly.
Yes, we did. Definitely.
Basically reforming the Undisputed Era in AEW.
What are they going to call that, by the way? Like, I'm
Undisputed
anxious.
Elite.
Ooh, yeah. I like that.
It's still the same.
I'm pretty sure Undisputed is something you probably can't use. Otherwise, they would just be the Undisputed. Like, I feel like that would be a great way to just be the Undisputed. But if they can, then they most certainly should. Yeah, man, crazy. It's crazy to see Kyle O'Reilly just kind of walk into AEW. NXT really didn't do much to try to keep him. And, you know, like, I know on the show I've said a couple times, like, I feel like Vince just doesn't think that they're a threat. But I'm kind of backpedaling on that. Now that I'm seeing this happen, I think that he's very much like, if you ask like a regular person on the street, like, do you know what wrestling is? 90% of them are going to say WWE, right? Like they don't know anything else. So if you make the brand more diverse and you make pro wrestling more diverse and you get AEW there, it's still going to be a long time, if they're ever number one, to be honest with you. More of like the diehard marks will love it, but I don't really think they're ever going to surpass WWE. So you already had a topped out roster in WWE. I mean, you had guys. I mean, you still have guys on the roster that are fantastic that you literally don't have the TV time for. So to me, it's almost like, you know what? Yeah, go over there, stay over, get more over, and then we'll offer you more money and you come back. I mean, I think that's maybe it's a great plan. You know, who knows? Maybe I'm crazy, but I think that's what Vince is doing.
I mean, one thing to notice that this week's episode got over 1 million viewers.
On AEW?
In AEW for the first time, you know, in little bit, probably about a month, which, nice. I mean, when you see Kyle O'Reilly pop off, it's going to be nice. And then also saw that they're going to be teaming up next week officially in a match on Dynamite next week.
All three of them?
All three of them.
Going against Jurassic Express, I think, maybe?
6-man. I can't remember. Maybe it is a Jurassic Express. Or no, the Best Friends, maybe.
Oh, the Best Friends. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of the Best Friends, Trent officially got Beretta back again. He's officially Trent Beretta.
Nice. Good for him, man.
He got his last name back. You know, in the world of pro wrestling, people lose last names a lot, especially in WWE. But to gain your last name back again, that's pretty cool. I agree.
That. Also, huge props to him that he just went by just the first name for like years and made it work. Like, well done. Like, it's hard to do. So good for you.
Yeah. And the other big thing there, the big controversy here in AEW, a fan was ejected for holding up a sign referencing some not so nice things about Nyla Rose, and Daniel has some
why are they
opinions
not nice
on that.
Why are they not nice things?
Because when it comes to making fun of stuff like that in wrestling, I think that there's like a small category of stuff that just should never be touched. Things
Okay.
that could be used when I say hate crime related. So like, don't use race, religion, gender, sexuality, all that bullshit. Leave that off. You don't really need to. That's unnecessary.
I would say that sign didn't fit any of that criteria. The sign actually said with an arrow, it said that guy, which is the guy standing next to him, that guy, or Nyla Rose is that guy's dad. That's what it said.
Yes, I understand, but it's obvious that.
So okay, listen, is it poor taste? Sure. Should he have said it? Sure. Should he be ejected for that though? Absolutely not. And it's asinine that people online are like, oh, that guy deserves an ass whooping, or it's like, what are you talking about? Like, maybe it's a cheesy bad joke, but the idea that this is like hate crime or like transphobic, or it's just a joke, guys. Jesus, calm down. Like, how would any of you survive in 1998? It's insane. And I understand the world is different.
Shit in 1998 is, when you look back on it, not so good.
I agree fully. I'm not saying all, but like, listen, I'm saying it's an overreaction. I'm not on the guy's side per se. I'm just saying that like everyone, like, to me, it's like there's no room for anyone to make any errors at all ever. And if you do, you're immediately just blacklisted or a piece of shit or whatever. Like, it's just a bad joke, guys. Like, it's just a cheesy joke. Like, it's not even. I think they should have taken his sign. And
well, the thing is, before the show, they like make, if you have signs like that and you do, they make a point to tell you not to do that shit. And the reason that even got away with it, it was a whiteboard that he just made on the fly. So
I still don't feel like it was that bad. I mean, even Nyla Rose came out and said like it was just a bad joke. Like she has not been demonizing this guy at all. And I feel like it's like, to me too, it's like, dude, like, listen, that's part of her story, right? Is that she was a man. Like, she's open about that. It's not like there's no, like, to me, to make a joke about that isn't really necessarily transphobic, especially when it's been talked about all the time.
Well, the thing is, it's not, his joke like wasn't even that fun. Like, if you're gonna do that, make it like do a joke. Like, you have a wiener. That's just not. I mean, that's just not that funny. It's just like it's low.
I feel like that's worse. I feel like that's way worse. I feel like that's way worse, honestly. That's what I'm saying. I feel like the joke itself was just a cheesy, poor taste joke, but it wasn't really derogatory or even like, I don't even really feel like it was that offensive. I feel like people just find reasons to be offended, especially when the person the joke was about was not offended. Like, she's talking more about the jokes about her jacket and her taking like 10 years to get the damn ring jacket off, it was really funny. But like, I don't know, man. I feel like people are just IWC too. It's like you can't be both ways. You can't decide that you want to bully like Cody Rhodes and Ty Conti off of Twitter because of the negative, toxic shit that you put out there, and then demonize this one guy for one bad joke. That you can't have it both ways, guys. You can't have it both ways. There's these like, I feel like most IWC Twitter wrestling fans have this like God complex where it's like they say what's good, and if it's not good, you're wrong.
Oh, yeah, like, I've definitely had a few people on there I've disagreed with, not even when it comes to that, just like a wrestler that I like, well, I think he's like, well, he did this, and I'm like, dude.
Oh, wrestlers online, too, are the worst. Wrestlers are the worst, actually. Most of them are like, oh, well, because I do it. At whatever small level, by the way, like just because you work a couple Fight TV or IWC, whatever it is, pay-per-view online, that does not make you an actual professional. Listen to me. If you have a job and you are not paying your rent from professional wrestling, you're not actually a professional wrestler. The word professional means you make a living doing that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it means.
Yeah. And speaking of professionals arguing and being really terrible to each other online, have you seen the feud going on with Anthony Ogogo and Jonathan Gresham and Jordan Grace?
Ooh, I have not.
That is not a work, apparently, and
they're
for real just like feuding online, and apparently Ogogo's getting backstage heat because like he's saying a bunch of like, it's like it's not a work. It's that they're just like literally talking shit to each other online.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because I know that in the real world, Anthony Ogogo is like a fighter, right?
Yeah. He's a boxer. So he started off just like making like just talking shit about Jonathan Gresham or whatever, and led to this whole big thing. And yeah, people are pissed at him. And speaking of Jonathan Gresham, he's going to be defending his ROH World Championship at Hard to Kill Impact pay-per-view coming up.
Woo. Love that. We are covering that actually on the show.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that because that makes it even more like, dude, ROH World Championship match. And I can't remember who it's going to be against, but he's defending on the show, and it's going to be against an Impact wrestler, I'm guessing. So
yeah.
It could be anybody potential. I'd love to see. I don't think it's Josh Alexander, but damn, that would be a.
Ooh.
That'd be a
goodie.
technical masterpiece right
I
there.
think isn't it Chris Bay?
If it was Chris Bay, that'd be a great match. I don't know who he's defending it against. I can't think of it right now off the top of my head.
We'll
I just know
figure it
they
out.
said it
Before
was
the
on.
end of the show, we'll figure it out. But
And the current women's champion of Ring of Honor, Roxy, was actually seen at the WWE Performance Center in a little tryout.
oh, okay. I like that, actually. I mean, I feel like she kind of fits the mold there. Also, what was that other guy that wrestled in the Pure Rules match?
Josh Woods.
Younger guy. Yeah, I feel like he
did some AEW dark tapings.
WWE. I know, but he's got to be WWE bound, man. He looks like the kind of guy that would wrestle on 2.0, you know. Speaking of 2.0, AJ Styles has made his debut in NXT. I'm really hyped to see that. You know, like I always want to give, you know, we gave the RIP to NXT for the black and gold.
Yeah.
And I still believe that that's the case. So I'm just going to call this show 2.0. And to me, it's a fresh show. It's not NXT at all anymore. It's just 2.0, but that doesn't mean that I have to hate it. Just because
it's FCW
WWE,
with higher production.
Sure. And you know what? There were some actually pretty decent FCW storylines. But yeah, you know what? I don't want to get too far into that, and that's maybe a whole nother episode, but I would very much like to see them start to send other guys, if they truly want to treat it as a third brand, send guys like AJ Styles down, send Shinsuke back. I mean, it would be better for him. It'd help Balor.
Yep, definitely did. And I mean, NXT, it's insane to what it's become today. But as you see the headline that Hit Row, when they were in NXT, they generated $2 million for the company alone by themselves.
In merch?
Yeah, in merch and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, merch because they sold their song and everything. Like
Yep.
$2 million, and they go, oh, screw you guys. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. If they were doing that, like if they could just capitalize off of that on the main roster, man, they could have boomed out, made a lot of money, had some great matches, but stupid ass Vince, you know, doesn't get it.
I think it's all Nick Khan. I think that anything that's going to be
Dick
remotely,
Khan?
yeah, I think it's going to be anything that's remotely like could be controversial or could be considered racist or playing to a stereotype or whatever. They're really going to try to avoid at this point. Just because they're like, I mean, right now, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying, dude, trust me, WWE has done tons and tons and tons of racist storylines.
They've done the most racist, like stereotype, like just prejudice gimmicks over the year, probably than any other company. TNA had some pretty rough ones too, but
TNA had some rough ones too.
And then probably, I'm sure if we go back to the classics of the NWA and Crockett Promotions, we'll probably see a good few of them in there too.
Shoo!
So
yeah, buddy, there's some rough ones in there for sure.
I guess that's a good positive thing. Wrestling is progressing, and we're trying to do less bullshit like that.
Yeah, less bullshit indeed. Well, I mean, it's still pro wrestling. But guess what? In 1996, they were still doing lots and lots of bullshit. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this show. We're going to start off with WWF's In Your House 12. It's time.
How was Vader not on the show and it was called It's Time? That really got me.
You got to listen to the Pritchard show. But he pretty much explained that Sean just didn't like working with Vader. Obviously, we have clips of Sean and Vader not going
Everyone
well in the
knows
ring.
Everyone knows it's well documented.
It's well documented indeed. And so, yeah, I think Sean is the main reason. Also, Sean is feigning one of his injuries or playing into one of his injuries or doing whatever it was he was doing at this point, just taking too many pills and claiming he was injured. Who knows? But yeah, man, it's a great time. We're like on the edge of the Attitude Era. We're in the dying days of the new generation, as I like to call it, not next generation because I'm a Star Trek geek. But yeah, let's get right into it. There's nothing says the dying days of the new generation quite like this first match. The opening match is Leaf Cassidy versus Flash Funk in 1996 for a pay-per-view, by the way. Before we get to the match, though, we did get like an opening promo package with Brett just whining, and I'll never understand how that guy was really a babyface ever. Like, I mean, especially in this climate, dude, that dude is a tried and true heel. Like, even during his babyface days, like the cockiness in his promos, and like, it's kind of crazy how he ever was a babyface. But I digress. Vince on commentary was great as well too. Again, the dying days of the new generation. He's shown no signs of being a heel yet. I thought it was great. I really liked these In Your House ideas. I thought it was smart. The match itself, though, I mean, it's really Al Snow versus Too Cold Scorpio. And now that we also know that ECW was essentially being bankrolled by WWF and like was kind of their developmental territory, it's kind of crazy to know now that ECW was really WWF's NXT, which is really strange. But yeah, I mean, oddly, the match itself was solid. I mean, both these guys have like just trash gimmicks. But the work rate was damn good. I mean, these guys had wrestled before several times in ECW. Fast-paced match to get the crowd kind of engaged. The babyface went over, and the crowd was hyped for it. It served its purpose. It was slightly below average just because the gimmicks were so trash, but the bell-to-bell was pretty good. So I gave it 2.5 beers. I was pleasantly surprised by the bell-to-bell work. Wex, what do you think about Leaf Cassidy versus Flash Funk here?
I was slightly more generous on this one. I was a half a beer more generous. I went 3 beers on this match. Okay. And like you said, the gimmicks were garbage. Like, it's Too Cold Scorpio's doing the Brodus Clay, the Flash Funk, the literally dancing with the women, like cheesy. Yeah. But then he's still ripping it in the ring. And I love Vince on commentary, like, oh, what a maneuver! Oh, what a maneuver! And JR is a heel on commentary here, which is great. And I love him. Oh, why are you gonna get mad at good old JR? Good old JR. Yeah. He said that so many times. I feel like this is when he was coining that term, good old JR.
Yeah.
But it was good shit. Really good match. I enjoyed it. And I was just thinking, like, in kayfabe, I wonder if Leaf Cassidy is related to Orange Cassidy.
In kayfabe?
If you could like have like a storyline where
I think
Snow
it's
comes in as
definitely
Leaf Cassidy again, and it's his long lost.
I want that to happen so bad now.
That'd be hilarious.
Al Snow looks like the friggin' Terminator right now, too, dude. That dude is so
and get Marty
jacked.
Jannetty in there somehow.
Oh, God. I don't know about that. I'd rather not. Let's leave Marty Jannetty
for a one-off.
Let's just do Leaf and Orange, the Cassidys versus, like, the Gun Club. I feel like, because that would be good. Al Snow can just work with Billy. They can work their style. They know what they're doing. They've done it several times before. It's a win, guys. Tony Khan. Let's see it, dude. Let's make it happen. At least just put it on dark. We'll all pop for it on the internet anyway.
And let Taz do commentary.
And then you'll have like 1,300 comments about why it sucked and you shouldn't put it on there. But, anyway. Let's go on to the next match. It's the fake Diesel and Razor versus Owen and Bulldog for the WWF Tag Team Championship. Not much of a bell-to-bell match here. Man, they had some AAA guys kind of come out too, like 2 minutes into the match and just like create a scene and wave at the crowd and then just walk back, which was really dumb and made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
why not just put them in a match on the card? I don't know. Just seems really stupid. Stone Cold comes out too and then goes after Bulldog, which is kind of crazy because of how the whole Owen thing works out. But yeah, I mean, I totally don't really remember the Bulldog part of that angle at all. But anyway, they finally get Austin to the back, and then they start kind of focusing on the match. And to be honest, man, I feel like Rick Bogner was underrated. I think that he got a bet. Like being the fake Razor was pretty. Like there's no way to overcome that really. But if he had come in with his own gimmick and angle, like it was a decent, I think that he could have been something. Obviously, Uncle Glenn turns into Kane, so he became a Hall of Famer. Rick Bogner, I feel like was actually a pretty decent wrestler. The work rate was not bad per se, but just, it wasn't good either. Because honestly, I'm going to say this here too. Bulldog has had like 5 really good matches in his career. I know people act like he was a great professional wrestler, but he was a really big guy that did a lot of power moves. But
I was going to say he's the power slam guy. That's all he is.
Yeah, but he's really not good. Like he's really not a very good wrestler. So yeah, Austin was on fire at this point too, though. I don't know. The gimmick kind of took it down, but I felt like the Gaga really helped the match. I rated this one a little bit higher than the first one. I rated it 2 3/4, so almost 3 beers on this one. But still, it's got to be below average because of the gimmicks. And Bulldog just didn't wrestle great. So, yeah, still a little bit under 3 beers. What do you think about this tag team championship match?
I went right in the middle again on this one. And like you said, the work rate was not the best. Not the best at all. But fake Diesel was giving me a lot of Kane vibes in this match, the way he was working. Because,
for sure.
Yeah, he kind of looked more like just Kane without a mask than he did like Diesel to me in this match, period.
Yeah, for sure.
And it took him putting on a mask for people to forget. That's why Bogner can never live it down. He never got a mask gimmick.
Yeah. They never even really tried to give him a gimmick without
Yeah. I mean, he did some good work in Japan, right?
Yeah. But still, I mean,
man, this was not a Mac classic. The work rate was not very good. And I agree. Bulldog was just the power slam guy. He was never, I can never remember him really just having that many, just like, oh my God, he's out here just, moving, working now. He's just doing a bunch of big moves. Very evident the last Bulldog match we covered when we were watching this, like against the Warlord. It was trash. But I mean, it's Warlord. I don't think you can really anybody can have great matches with Warlord. But yeah, I went right down the middle of this. Always fucking hated the fake Diesel and Razor thing like so much. Because every time I read like, oh, we're gonna watch a pay-per-view, I'm reading the card, and it doesn't mention that it's fake Diesel or Razor. Like if you're reading the card like on online or somewhere, it says Diesel, and you're like, okay. And I watch it, I'm like, this bullshit. But yeah, I did like the stuff with Stone Cold. A little Stone Cold and shit added a little bit, which kind of, like you said, pushed it up there because I almost gave it 2.75.
Almost 2.75. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at with it. I feel like that's a fair assessment. I mean, it is what it is. Let's keep it rolling here. Vince delivers the line. The Nation of Domination have taken over America Online. And I felt like he was really proud of himself. Vince's brain. He was like, oh, that's good shit, pal. And in his mind, he's like, oh, that's such a good line. Yeah, Ahmed Johnson gets a promo too with Vince that was just brutally bad. Farouk interrupts and somehow makes it even more racist, which was pretty impressive. And so I don't know. It was just
was that PG-13 rapping?
Yes, of course. The white guys.
That's my favorite iteration, the old school Nation of Domination that had like
100%.
All that
like
had
30 people in it. Yeah.
No,
I agree. I fully agree. I think that this version here of Nation of Domination is the best version for sure. Ahmed Johnson, I don't ever understood why he was ever anything ever. I mean, he was just big. Like, wasn't a good wrestler, terrible on the mic. I mean, people say he had charisma, and I guess he did because people loved him, but I never...
Ron Simmons fucking hated him, like, at legit
him. Of course. Why would... Yeah, I mean, he sucks. I don't know. I completely get that. Ron Simmons is significantly better. Although, let's be completely honest, Farouk was never good on the mic. Never. I mean, that's why he ended up being the one-line guy.
Powerhouse, dude.
Yes, but a good wrestler. Yeah, for sure. Let's keep it rolling here. We also get a package for Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Mark Marrow with Sable in the middle of it. The beginnings of Sable. Probably the best package on the show so far, for sure.
I literally have that exact note. I was like, this package was fantastic.
Yeah, man. And honestly, the match here is Mark Marrow versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. It's a great match. It's a really great chain open. H is like super hungry at this point too. His selling and his facial expressions were so good. I mean, he made Marrow look like a main event guy, and that's a very tall task. I thought the match was really good. It's probably Mark Marrow's best WWF match. I mean, the work rate really surprised me too. Very solid. Some really good false finishes too. The right amount of Gaga, but not overbooked. A well-done count-out, too, is something that you don't see very often, and I actually loved it. I thought it was really well done, and that's almost impossible to do, a really well-done count-out. I gave this match 4.5 beers. I thought it was really great. I don't think I've seen a count-out finish that good, maybe ever, honestly. And if I have, it's been a very, very long time. Top 10 ever count-out finish, in my opinion. 4.5, loved it. Loved the way Hunter Hearst Helmsley sneakily won or kept the title and also lost the match. Really Ric Flair-esque, very well done. Hats off. 4.5 beers. What do you think about Mark Marrow versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley?
Marvelous Mark Marrow versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
The Wild Man.
From Greenwich, Connecticut. I didn't go quite as high as you, but I did go 3.5 beers because it was a really good match. And I haven't really seen very many Mark Marrow matches, to be honest. Like, I knew him as a character and a wrestler growing up, but this is a really good match. Like, the one pay-per-view we watched previous where he had a match, like, it was okay, but, like, he was, I don't know, maybe you're right. Maybe Triple H is the one who carried this and just made him fucking look great because it was good. And, like you said, the right amount of Gaga. I love the slap from Sable.
Yeah.
And this is, like, the very beginning days of the old Sable. And very good stuff here. And I love Mark Marrow's fucking shooting star press. It looks great. Like,
it is.
I didn't know I literally did not know he did that move. All I thought about, only Mark Marrow I know in my head is boxing TKO boxer TKO, Mark Marrow. Yeah, exactly.
Like, so dope when he first started doing it. I was like, yo, what is that? Like,
and good shit there. Mark Marrow. He's I didn't realize how sick he was, and now he's like a preacher or something.
He's a motivational speaker. Yeah.
Motivational speaker. Wrestlers become preachers, motivational speakers. That's what they do when they get old.
I mean, it works. They're cutting promos, baby. Cutting promos.
Yep.
Captivating the crowd. Let's keep it rolling here. There's I mean, the post-match shooting star was a bit much, I felt like, actually. I mean, it looked great, but like, it seemed like a little more time in the ring with Triple H still that you didn't really have to have.
Hey, I enjoyed seeing that flip. I like him.
But then on the way back, Helmsley just gets his ass clapped by Goldust. I mean, just straight up pollywalked. It was. I mean, that was really stiff too. I wonder if
he was getting punished. This was a post curtain call, right?
That's true. Yeah, I get that. I mean, it was, but he's still. I mean, he's IC champion, so it is what it is. Doc Hendricks interviewing Sid always popped me. I love seeing like old dude with his FM radio voice on. Hey, Doc Hendricks. Yeah, you know, it's great. But the Sid promo was actually pretty decent. And of course, that leads to the Executioner intro and a package for his quote unquote feud with the Undertaker. It's a solid package. Super cheese, but solid. Definitely, again, the dying moments of the new generation. Next match here, though, is the Undertaker versus the Executioner in an Armageddon Rules match. And it's a total shit show. Foley busts his ass and botches the run-in, which is funny. I laughed out loud because he literally just like loses his ankles out from under him and busts his ass.
Yeah, that was a good
hilarious. Yeah, the match is really, really bad. Security kind of comes out to get Mankind with Mace at one point to get him out of the match, and it's just it's calamity and craziness, and it's an awkward finish, and it's just not good. It's bad overall. I gave it a beer. A beer is what I gave it. Where are you at with Undertaker versus Executioner?
I guess we are finally going to completely agree on one today, and I gave this thing just one beer. Honestly, it was just sad seeing Terry Gordy in this position and just seeing how shitty he was at this point. Like, man, and like the whole Armageddon Rules thing, it's just a last man standing match. That's all it is. And just like you said, dude, it was a fucking shit show. So much stuff going on, and I don't get why the security would want to mace Mankind. He's Mankind. He pulls his own hair out and shit. Like, do you think Mace is going to fuck him up? Like, come on now. That doesn't make much sense. And, yeah, this was just a complete shit show. And just to think, like, if Terry Gordy, what he would have been doing if he was in WCW at this time and not in WWF. Like, he probably could have been having, I don't know if his in-ring skill, because he was, like, injured and old, kind of fucked up at this point, but at least the storyline would probably be a little bit better.
So the rumor has it that like this match didn't go as planned. I don't know if you noticed, but they do like the same kind of like sequence of moves like 3 times in a row.
Yeah. I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
So Gordy shouldn't have at this point, he shouldn't have even had a job in wrestling because he just mentally couldn't. He wasn't able to. It wasn't his body at all. It was his brain. Like, so he couldn't. He had like had an OD on a plane and like resuscitated like 13 minutes later, and that long without oxygen. Like, he was just slower. Like, he had actual brain injury. So it's kind of crazy that they like put him in the ring with people and like let him slam them and stuff. Like, that's
when was that wild. Terry Gordy match we watched in ECW? What year was that from?
94, I think.
Okay, because that was still
right before that.
Because that was still a solid match, but like this,
yeah.
And him wearing that gear just pisses me off. The Executioner gear.
Yeah, man, it was bad.
So fucking horrible.
This is post-accident. I know that. I know this is post-accident. So I feel like that's why
it damn sure showed, because it was just like a complete shit show in the ring. The work rate was like -1.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not good at all. Not good at all. Speaking of not good at all, we also got Doc Hendricks interviewing Bret Hart in the back. The truest of heels.
Those are heel sunglasses. Those are heel fucking sunglasses.
Dude, he's a heel in real life for sure. He's such a whiny baby. Yeah, so he like complains a little bit, and then of course they hit Shawn's music to come out on commentary, and he like loses his mind, and that's a shoot. Like, he's like, it's my time, it's my interview. Always talking about Shawn Michaels. God, that guy. Ugh, just hate his voice. But you know what? When you get into the ring and the bell rings, Bret Hart is definitely top 5 of all time. I don't care what anybody says. He is so smooth. His punches are great. His psychology makes sense. The suspension of disbelief is there with him. Personality-wise, literally could not hate any wrestler more than I hate Bret Hart. But I think that his actual in-ring, probably top 5 best ever of all time. Yeah, man. I mean, also, too, like, Bret worked like a heel in this match. Like, Sid's supposed to be the heel, but the crowd's kind of, we're in the dying days of the new generation. The Attitude Era, it became very cool to cheer the heel. Like, I mean, that was where it started, was this kind of era. I mean, I would argue the NWO kind of did that, too. And so, yeah, Brett is kind of working like a heel in this match, and the match is pretty good. Sid definitely didn't sell for Brett the same way he sold for Shawn.
Oh,
in the
not
last
at all. I noticed that 100%.
That's, to me, that's what it was. And the match felt a little slower than the Shawn match, too, and that also hurt it. There was definitely some glaring, sloppy spots, but it certainly wasn't bad by any means. It was definitely an above-average match, especially for Sid. But there's got to be some kind of personal issue there between Sid and Brett, because I know that Sid is kind of like an honorary Click member, and I know around this time, like, he kind of took the Razor and Diesel spot, and like he was the one riding with Triple H and Shawn. Like, he kind of took a Click role there. So maybe it was just heat with Brett. I don't know. I'm just assuming at this point it's been like 25 years, you know. But I don't know. I do like the building of the Stone Cold feud with Brett, though. I like that interference. I thought that was well booked for the finish as well. I liked it a lot. Also, kind of having Shawn getting involved too, keeping that storyline going with Shawn and Brett. I thought it was written very well, and the bell to bell was at least good. Maybe not if it wasn't great. So to me, it was 3.5 beers, a little above average. Oh. That's where I'm at with it. What do you think about this main event?
Winner, winner, chicken dinner yet again for the second match in a row. 3.5 beers for me too. And dude, Shawn Michaels was being such a dick right here. This was like the genesis, the beginning of Pilled Up 97.
But on commentary, like, he kept saying, like, he was like, you know what? I can't take anything away from Brett in the ring. He's probably one of the best of all time. Like, I mean, he said it several times.
Yeah, he did. But just like the pre-match, that like he just kind of
Oh yeah, no,
totally, the way he looked with the little like the kind of beard going. You could see it in his eyes.
You could just tell. He's getting glazed a little bit.
And I agree with you 100%. You could tell, like, that last match with HBK and Sid, like, because HBK is a more bumpy guy. He'll flop all over and just, he can make you look a lot better. And Bret Hart's, he just doesn't do that for people. And that's just not his style. Yeah, but they still worked, like you said, an above average match. One of the better Sid matches, I guess.
For sure.
I mean, dude, Sid.
This is the best Sid run of his entire career. The 1996 was the best year, bell to bell, that Sid ever had, which is crazy because that's generally not the way it works. Generally, it's like your younger years or your better bell to bell years. But yeah, this for him was way better. 96 is the best bell to bell year.
He's just a big clunky guy, so it took him a long time to. He just really had to find people he could work with that could work
people
with
that
him
could
and
work
make him
around
look good.
him. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. It makes sense, and I kind of makes a little bit sense how he would take that Click spot back then, because I remember this was around the time like 97. Like, this was when I first kind of started watching wrestling, and I was really young, and I remember I had the the bendy toys.
Yeah,
rubbers. I had a Sid and a British Bulldog.
Oh, nice. I had
this
a
was
Roddy
like from
Piper.
This era.
I had a Roddy Piper and a Bret Hart.
Okay, so the Roddy Piper, that's a little bit older from because at this point.
But he was in 96. I mean, he wrestled at WrestleMania 12.
Yeah, so I'm saying it was just a little bit before. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's that's it, man. I actually thought that like the post match stuff with Shawn was great though. I thought that helped a lot. The little brawl. I think these In Your Houses they didn't have SmackDowns or anything else. Like it was like the In Your Houses were supposed to be like a month's worth of TV show in one show.
Yeah, and they were shorter than regular pay-per-views and cheaper.
Yeah. And so to me, I like that idea. Now that we have streaming, there's not really a reason to have that. But I like that idea. And I think that before we get off into the next show, now's a good time to go on my tangent. So actually, we really only have we have the big four from AEW as far as pay-per-views. And we get a lot of like Dynamite specials, like Winter is Coming and Fyter Fest and that kind of shit. And that's cool. But I would rather honestly have like at least 6. You know what I mean? Just give me 6. Maybe
they'll get there. Maybe they'll get there.
I hope they do. I mean, I also don't think that I ever want to see AEW do a pay-per-view every month. I don't think they should ever do that. But I think 6 would be solid. And what I would say too is like keep having the big 4, but those other 2 in between the big 4, those should be like In Your Houses. They should be like, just like an hour and a half long, or like, but it's just like no promos, just jam packed with like wrestling matches.
Well, sorry, I got some dogs barking.
No, that's what the TV specials are, but
Well, I was going to say they are going to start doing those Battle of the Belt specials 4 times a year.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I like that.
They're going to be hour-long specials, so that kind of...
But is it on TV, though? Or is it like a pay-per-view?
It's on TV.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't know. For me, it doesn't seem it seems cheaper. Maybe I'm just an elitist at this point, but it seems like it's for poor people, if that makes sense.
Hey, I'm poor people, so...
Yeah, but you could buy a pay-per-view. Come on now.
Yeah, I can buy a pay-per-view.
Okay, yeah. So I would actually say from this show, Mark Merrow versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley is easily the best match on the card.
And Sid and Brett probably second.
Yeah, Sid and Brett are the honorable mention there. Let's jump on over here to the flagship show for WCW in 1996. We are rolling hot and heavy with the NWO.
WCW Starrcade 1996, the first big NWO Starrcade.
That's right. It's actually the first big Starrcade where at this point WCW is bigger than WWF. So this is the first one, right? And that's there's something to be said about this. We did get a recap of the Piper and Hogan angle that literally no one on earth asked for. But yeah, let's get right into it here. Match number 1, Ultimo Dragon versus Dean Malenko. It's a 9-title championship unification match. It's a technical showcase for sure. Both guys are just so smooth, but also kind of stiff in the right ways, if that makes sense. Great chemistry. It's a hell of a match. Some awesome false finishes. Iconic match from both guys. Probably the best of what the cruiserweight division was. Absolutely love this match. Highly recommend it. 4 3/4 beers. Almost a 5-beer match for me. Very much loved it. Wex, what do you think about Ultimo versus Dean Malenko here?
Dude, it was like you said, it was a fantastic match. A mat clinic, a mat classic. Like a nice combination of submissions, high-flying moves, like some very stiff shots, and the crowd was super hyped and into it the entire time. The crowd of Nashville, Tennessee, the Municipal Auditorium, to be exact. Yeah. And for a 1996 cruiserweight match, which we've seen some other crowds that aren't really hyped on it, but this crowd was really fucking into it. Dean Malenko was over as hell. We had some, the cheesy-ass USA chants. But, dude, I love that Tope Suicida fake-out that Ultimo Dragon did. Don't really see that very often.
Yeah,
it was a nice little fake out. I enjoyed that one. And dude, Dusty Rhodes on commentary throughout this entire show, but he really started off hot on this one. He is fantastic. And Mike Tenay. Mike Tenay too. I love when they bring in Mike Tenay on the cruiserweight matches because he knows all the moves better than Tony Schiavone just says what he thinks it is. And I think it's great because sometimes it works out a little bit, but dude, fantastic match. 4 beers for me. I didn't go quite as high as you, but it was still great. Like I said before we started recording this, anything that doesn't really involve the NWO is fantastic on the show. So
pretty much everything on the show that doesn't involve, well, not everything.
Not everything, but most of it, like wrestling, in ring.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Match number 2 here is Akira Hokuto versus Medusa for the WCW Women's Championship. Firstly, Medusa over Alundra Blaze all day. I think Medusa was a much better character than Alundra Blaze for sure. We start right off with some hair pulling, and it's bad wrestling. The whole match is really bad. Pretty much stayed that way. Sony Ono is all over this show as well, which is a little weird. Way to go, Eric. Man, the crowd was hot, but the match sucked. Commentary was great. So the crowd was hot and commentary was great, but the match sucked. So I'll give it half a beer for that.
Wow. We got the exact same thing yet again, half a beer.
Yay!
And honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was still pretty bad.
Oh, it was real bad.
And it was really Medusa. She just literally was botching so much shit left and right. And I was like, what the fuck? Botched multiple DDTs. Man, sick brain buster at the end. I'll give him that. That was a sick little move for the end there. But the ending didn't make sense because Sony Ono cheated, but then she didn't want him to cheat and her husband was mad. I was kind of confused at that there. But not a great showing for the women's division here in WCW.
Definitely not a great showing. That's
probably. I mean, it's definitely not as good as the legendary women's division of Revive Pro Wrestling in Centerville, Tennessee. It's definitely not as good as that.
I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's keep on going here. The next segment in the back is DDP in a chat room. Apparently, this was just the era of putting your guys in chat rooms and showing it on pay-per-view because that's what people want to see. Mean Gene interviews Piper, and the promo was great. I wish the match was good, but I digress. Let's keep going here. The next match on the card is Jushin Liger versus Rey Mysterio Jr. It was a great match from the jump for sure. Again, another really best showcase of the cruiserweights. It does prove that that flip-flop shit has always kind of been a big part of pro wrestling and has always kind of had people watch it and is at least for 25 years now really kind of kept crowds engaged. So the older wrestling crowd that's we don't have to do that. It's you don't, but Adam Page does and MJF does and the guys that are still staying and Rollins does. Roman doesn't really have to because he's massive though. That's a little different, Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that. But to be honest, like that's kind of how this match felt too. The finish was a little abrupt to me. It did seem like there wasn't a whole lot of psychology in the match, so it wasn't. I didn't rate it quite as high as I rated the Ultimo and Dean Malenko match, but it was very, very good. I rated it 3 3/4 beers. Not as good as the Open, but I did like it a whole lot. Where are you at with Liger versus Mysterio here?
I want a little bit higher on this one. I gave it 4 beers. I don't know if it's because I'm a Jushin Liger mark or whatever, but this match was fucking fantastic. The power bomb over the top, like, rope fake out thing, like the Hurricane Rana, that was fucking amazing. And I like Liger has, like, you know, a more of a grounded style in this match. Like, he does some high flying stuff, and they kind of mention that on commentary. But I think it really worked well with Rey Mysterio's just complete crazy flip flop. And Liger's a little bit thicker. He has a little bit more power there.
Yeah, I get that.
And he definitely like use that to his advantage. And dude, I love Dusty and Tenay on commentary here. They're just like cracking me up. Like he's like with the dragon screw leg whip, and Dusty Rhodes just starts dying laughing of the idea of a move being called a dragon screw. But I thought that was well established years ago. But he's just like, oh, it's a dragon screw working on the knee. Oh, he's Dusty was killing that whole time. And that Asai moonsault on the outside, fantastic. I went 4 beers. I do agree it was a little wild at times, but I kind of like that a little bit. I like it when it gets wild. I'm a wild boy, like Steve-O.
Are you an island boy?
Not an island boy. Definitely not one of those jokers, but
not one of them jokers. Let's keep it rolling here. The next match on the card is Chris Benoit versus Jeff Jarrett in a no DQ match. Listen, I know this is kind of supposed to be the end of this Horseman Jarrett feud, but really neither one of these guys are brawlers. And so to have like a no DQ match, it felt like it missed the mark. I actually feel like if this match would have been like a best 2 out of 3 falls or like a more of a wrestling style match, I think it would have been better because I thought the selling was actually top notch from both guys. And I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest with you. I thought the bell-to-bell work was really good and was very old-school style. Some slightly sloppy spots, but no outright botches. And it was overall really solid. The finish was pretty goofy with all the interference, and that definitely hurt it. So because of that, it went below average. And also it just being a no DQ and not having really anything no DQ about it also made it weird. I gave it 2 3/4 beers, almost 3. It was right, like should have been an average match, but little too much gaga on the WCW side to me. Where are you at on this Chris Benoit versus Jeff Jarrett match?
I'm pretty close to you. And honestly, one of the better Jeff Jarrett matches that we've watched since covering any of these pay-per-views.
For sure, yeah.
And I don't know if it's because he's going up against Chris Benoit.
It doesn't hurt, for sure. I mean,
they were wrestling a wrestling match when it's supposed to be a no DQ. That's why it just didn't really hit right because what no DQ elements even came into play besides the finish, which was dumb as hell.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm still confused on the finish because like both guys interfered with both guys. Like, it just wasn't very coherent. And then Dusty Rhodes said some of the hilarious shit on commentary again. He was trying to say Paul Bunyan, but he said, "Oh, you know about Paul Bundy." And I was Paul Bundy, what? But that popped me real hard.
Good old Dusty.
Drama was just a little bit too much madness at the end. It should have been more just Arn run in, just Arn do a thing.
Yeah.
Too much shit going on.
Yeah,
I gave it 3 beers though, because the work rate was fucking amazing. Like you said, bell to bell, just that ending, that finish really fucked me up. And the fact that they didn't use any weapons, he just
it definitely should have been higher than it was for sure, but I digress, man. Okay, so we get a cluster of a promo with Mean Gene and Deborah and Mongo, and it was, I don't even know what they were even talking about. Like, it was kind of about Jeff Jarrett, but then it kind of wasn't, and I don't know. Gene was doing his best, but yikes. Like, he was trying to keep them on the rails, but was just
Here comes Mongo.
Yeah, was just not going to be there. So let's just get to the next match here. It's the Outsiders versus the Faces of Fear for the WCW Tag Team titles. It's all nostalgia. The crowd was lit for it for sure. Definitely one of the loudest of the night. Kind of weird. It was kind of weird because the Outsiders were like the heels, but they actually wrestled the match as a babyface team. Not only that, but Nash is the one taking the heat, and Hall got the hot tag, which is weird to say the least. Why would you not put the better wrestler in to take the bumps and put like the more character guy there to take the fire, right? I don't know. Match wasn't very good. Not even half as good as the Harlem Heat match that we had just covered. That one was great, but this was not good at all. Even nostalgia couldn't save it. I gave it a beer and a quarter. That's where I was at, and I feel like I was being a little generous with the quarter. But anytime I can see the outsiders and they're both sober, I'm into it. It was good for that. So one solid beer, and then about a half a beer or a quarter of the beer for the actual wrestling. So a beer and a quarter for me. Where are you at on the outsiders versus the faces of fear?
I think you were a little bit generous with that quarter of a beer.
Okay.
Because I only gave it one beer. And honestly, this is what happens in these matches. Like, we covered one, I think, with the Nasty Boys a few pay-per-views ago. Like, the crowd's absolutely fucking hot. They're loving what's going on. But, like, in ring, it's just, like, some cheesy 80s bullshit. And it's just not – it's not, like, all this fucking great pro wrestling we just watched throughout this whole show. And then you get this. It's just like, fuck. Come on, guys. Yeah. Like, you guys could do better, but you're getting paid too much money and you don't care to do better. You're just going to collect that paycheck, make That's that true. NWO money.
That's
and
true.
I mean, honestly, the Faces of Fear at this point in their career, they're not doing anything amazing either. So this is just
definitely not.
This is the big NWO pop. Part of my beer was seeing Six Pac out there because I always love him.
Oh yeah, it's always nice to see. And then we got a DiBiase and NWO promo in the back, and Elizabeth looks absolutely miserable in this promo. I really hated her life. It looked like on camera. Hogan promo was actually pretty good. I mean, people can say what they want about Hogan, but there's a reason why he is who he is. Both the promos from Piper and Hogan were fantastic. The promos were great. And I think that's why we at least got to this point where people did kind of care.
As long as they both do a little bit of cocaine and cut a promo, we'll be all right.
There's something there. There's something there for sure. Let's keep it rolling, though. It's DDP versus Eddie Guerrero for the WCW United States Championship. The match ruled, man. Eddie is Paige's best opponent in '96 by far. I love that they kind of called out Brain getting himself a drink during the match on commentary. That to me was hilarious. Paige did his part too, man. I mean, overall, a very solid match. Definitely not as good as the cruiserweight matches, but still a very good one from two certified Hall of Famers. I liked the interference finish too. And Eddie not even kind of knowing, I thought was really good booking the way they played it, the way they sold it. Good match, man. Above average for sure. 3.5 beers for me. What do you think about DDP versus Eddie Guerrero here?
This match actually was my favorite match of the night. My highest rated match of the night, and I gave this thing 5 beers.
What?
Because I think it had a little bit of everything for me.
Okay.
And it had some of the high flying and stuff, but it made sense here. It wasn't as kind of just craziness like we had in some of the earlier matches. And Eddie Guerrero was just he looked so good and on point in this match. Him and DDP's chemistry was just fucking fantastic. So many good counters and reversals and shit that I just never really seen, like a move that I haven't really ever seen, period. DDP did a regular pile driver, but then went to his knees like a tombstone, but it wasn't reversed the other way. And I was like, whoa, I really don't think I've seen that very much. Have you?
Yeah. I haven't seen it before either.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, that's fucking sick. Just like, and some cool moves, and the whole story the whole story there at the end with the interference, like you said, Eddie not knowing, but still hitting the froggy splash. And I love Dusty Rhodes on commentary. He was trying to put over the diamond cutter, and he goes, oh, he's going to be a squished frog if DDP hits them with the diamond cutter.
Oh, yeah, it's so good, man. It's so good.
I thought it was great. It had a little bit of everything. It had, like, your high flying, your mat stuff, like the drama, the interference. I thought it was fucking fantastic. And it's not just good, not because I'm an Eddie Guerrero mark, but I really enjoyed this match. This is my favorite one on the card.
I enjoyed the match. I don't know. I think both the cruiserweight matches were better, in my opinion. But I did enjoy the match. It was a good match for sure. I'm a Liger mark,
and I still rated this higher than Jushin Thunder Liger.
That's wild to me.
I loved it. It had everything I needed for a pro wrestling match. Story, everything. It just all combined. Worked great.
It is what it is, man. We're going to agree to disagree on this one. Let's keep it rolling. The next match on the card here is the Giant versus Lex Luger. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's big dudes that can't wrestle trying to wrestle. I mean, Giant was very, very athletic, but it almost made no sense. Like, why do those moves when you don't have to? Luger has never really lived up to what he could have been, and this is no different, really. It kind of stays boring until Six hits the ring, and then Stings comes out of the crowd. The booking was smart there. The crowd was super over for that. The match itself was short, and I do think that now that so if the match had just been the match and not had this booking at the end, I would have shit all over it. But now, to me, it's like I understand why they put this here to further the storyline. The interference part of it, the match part of it totally sucked, but the interference and the booking part of it to advance the Sting storyline was really good. Especially incorporating it with Lex and then going over to the Giant and just saying things to both of them and leaving. I don't know. I thought it was really smart, really well done. I gave it 2 beers just for the writing, because the match would have been a dud, straight up dud. But I felt like the booking was very good. So 2 beers for me on this whole thing. Mostly for the booking, not really the match.
Oh God. So if we're talking about just the wrestling match, it's just horribly overbooked bullshit. But they could have just not had a match here and just did an angle and just still made this work. They could have made it an angle and not a match, and it would have been great. But like the match itself, dude, Lex Luger has never been a good wrestler. He's always just been a big muscly guy. Like I don't think we have covered a single match of his where I'm just like, all right, okay, this is a good Lex Luger match. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll give this is a halfway decent match. He just can't do it.
Yeah.
That's why the Lex Express was a failure. I mean, he's not the guy.
It was definitely a failure.
I mean, you have to be like Hulk Hogan. He's big and muscly, but he has like just a little bit of wrestling ability. Like Lex.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Lex just does not have the ability.
I would say had a little bit of wrestling ability.
Oh no, Hogan had it. He did some shit in the 70s back in New Japan. Like 70s, I saw him wrestle
all through the 80s too. Once we get into the 90s, lost a lot of his ability and became much more just the character. Yeah. And
did not like it. I'll give it a beer just because like Sting. I'll give a just kind of like you said. I'll give a beer for like the angle, but if it's just as a match, it's 0.
That's fair.
I'm right there with you. That's one thing we can agree on.
That's fair. Angle was good. Match sucked. Let's keep it rolling. We get Big Brother Michael Buffer out with his "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" shtick instead of what is it? Who's the other guy? Bruce Buffer that does the "It's Time" in UFC.
It's time. Yeah.
Yeah,
the Buffer
that's
Boys.
His thing. The Buffer Boys. Yeah, they're both great ring announcers for sure. I mean, it's kind of crazy that they is what it is. Isn't AEW using him sometimes now too? Michael Buffer? I feel like they did, right?
One match or something like that.
I want to say it was a Cody Rhodes thing. Makes
probably.
But yeah, and let's get this over with. So it's Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Roddy Piper for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. The match is legendary for how awful it was. It really doesn't get worse belt to belt than this. And to be completely honest, I'd seen it before, so I fast forwarded through most of it. I just want to call a spade here and be done with it. I don't think that it deserves any shine, so I'm going to call it a dud and just leave it at that. How do you feel about this Hollywood Hogan versus Roddy Piper thing?
I will give it 1 beer for the crowd.
Nope,
the crowd was hot.
Not.
Crowd was going fucking nuts. But, dude, it's the classic pure 80s cheese gaga bullshit. Like, there was probably a total, I think I counted, because I watched this match last night. I was after the Titans game. Pretty drunk, but not, like, wasted. Had a few in me, but I counted the total of, like, 4 bumps, maybe the entire match.
Wow.
Maybe. Like, there's that one big suplex that Roddy hit, and, like, maybe a few, like, fall downs from, like, some punches, but that's it. Hogan literally avoids... Hogan does the most minimal amount of work I've ever seen in a wrestling match.
The back rakes. The back rakes were insane to me.
The thing is, it's
record
funny
number of back rakes in this match.
Exactly, and I love how, like in AEW, the Young Bucks will do the back rakes as just like a heel move because it's so cheesy and bad, and Hogan was like thought it was like good and bad. Like, yeah, this is bad guy stuff. But it's funny that they use the cheesy bullshit and bring it into these days and make it work. Which you got to know how to make shit work in wrestling. But yeah, this is fucking horrible, awful. The promos might have been better than the match. He should have just went in there, locked in the sleeper from the get-go, and we wouldn't have to sit through all that bullshit.
I agree. I feel like that's how it should have ended. Just having Hogan talking shit, pointing his thing in his face, him just grabbing him by the wrist, pulling him in, locking in the sleeper, and that's it. Goldberg style. I feel like that would have been gotten over. It would have sufficed the wrestling fans, whatever.
We didn't have to watch Hulk Hogan put him in like an octopus hold and like hump him and like touch his hip. That was so disgusting. I was just like,
so it's weird to me. To me, there's like, okay, so if we're on average, right? Like, In Your House is a shorter show. And I feel like it had some really good stuff on it.
Oh, yeah.
Starrcade's a longer show, and it had more good stuff on it, but it also had more bad stuff on it. So I'm kind of in a tussle here. I don't really know which way I'm going to go. I feel like it's very close. It's very close. It's probably like 3 beers to like 3 1/8 beers or 3 1/4 beers at most. And I think I am going to lean Starrcade just a little bit because I think the wrestling matches were probably better. But again, I think that It's Time was probably one of the better In Your House pay-per-views for sure. And I really liked it a lot. It's hard. I mean, you know what? I'm going to do the bitch thing, and I'm going to say it's a draw. They do a Broadway here. It's a draw. Yeah, I'm not going to lean with either one. I'm going to say it's a draw.
Not for me. I'm going to 100% go Starrcade because you got Eddie Guerrero, DDP, Dean Malenko, Juice and Thunder Liger, Rey Mysterio versus like a couple good men. I have to go Starrcade. Starrcade just
I feel like the writing was good though. It was getting better. We got Stone Cold becoming Stone Cold.
Yeah, but he wasn't Stone Cold
angle.
yet. We still had Leaf Cassidy. We still had
he's got the vest on
out there.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but the match wasn't bad.
I mean, I like it, but come on, you can't. Starrcade's the winner. Starrcade's the clear winner here.
I don't know. The pay-per-view, like the main event's just so bad, and also too, like WCW, like did not give a damn about how their pay-per-views ended. Like they just like they finished their angle and they just let it end awkwardly. Like
it would just go off air. It would just randomly go off air with whatever the fuck was happening.
There's always a definitive ending to every WWF or WWE pay-per-view. Always. There's not just this random, let these guys hang out in the ring until it's over. Unless like, I don't know, Stone Cold just won the title or whatever, and we're gonna see the beer back.
Beers.
Yeah.
That's different.
That is different. I agree.
We'll agree to disagree on this one, which we usually agree which the pay-per-view is better, but I'm going to have to go Starrcade with this one.
Well, I mean, if I call it a draw and you go Starrcade, then the natural inclination would be to say Starrcade because I went with a draw. So
okay. All right then. Well,
it is what it is. But you know what, dude? Like we have one more episode in season 3. I am so hype. It is going to be our end of the year recap, our favorite moments, our superlatives. We're going to do that part. And then we're going to be streaming on Twitch and going through the breakdown of at least the first 90 days. So the first 3 months of the year and doing our schedule. Like we're going to go through the years and like obviously we're going to be covering 97 in WWF. We're going to be covering 2007 in WWE because we've been kind of doing those storylines, as it were, from 06 and 96 carrying on. The same thing will be WCW in 97. And we want to get that in there. And I would also like to keep doing the kind of the storylines from TNA. We were there in 06. We're going to jump into 07 there. So I do have a couple of episodes to announce for season 4 after the new year. Episode 1 of season 4 is going to be TNA's Final Resolution from 2007, and that's going to be going up against WWE's Day 1 from it's the New Year's Day pay-per-view, right?
Which there could be a big problem with that because there is a large COVID outbreak right now within the WWE, and they don't know what the fuck they're going to do. So that should be very interesting.
Hey, maybe Ricochet will get some pay-per-view time.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it'll be like that time the plane got stuck in Saudi Arabia and we got some different people.
And we got like the coolest SmackDown and that we had for years.
Or when everybody got everyone got sick, like I forgot what they got. They all went to the hospital, like Roman Reigns got it, Bray Wyatt got it.
Oh, yeah. It
was viral meningitis. A bunch of people got viral meningitis and we got Finn Balor versus AJ Styles.
Yeah, I mean it's good stuff. I mean, I don't want anybody to have COVID. I want everybody to be
viral meningitis.
Or viral meningitis or anything else. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited about the potential of Day 1. I'm really going to try to go into season 4 with a clean slate. I'm really going to try to I'm just going to try to go. I'm not going to have any bias towards WWE. I'm going to try to just watch it and see if it's good. Hopefully it is. Episode 2 of season 4 is going to be Impact's Hard to Kill 2022, and that's going to be continuing this WCW storyline that we've been talking about. So the next pay-per-view in 97, the first one was WCW NWO Sold Out 1997. Ooh. So I'm excited about that one. I will go ahead and preface this. I am almost positive that me and the KG Cast covered this show like years and years ago, but it's fine. It's fine. I definitely want to keep it going with the storyline.
You weren't putting up against a current pay-per-view though.
That's true. I think we did it on a nostalgia versus nostalgia. And as I remember, this is one of the worst pay-per-views in WCW history. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. Be prepared. I'm pretty sure it's just pure cheese. But we got to keep these 97 storylines going, man. We got to keep them going. So on Twitch, join us. Finish out January, going into February and all the way through March, getting into WrestleMania season. So we'll definitely need you guys' help in the chat. Be sure to go follow us on Twitch. It's just Kayfabe Comparisons like everywhere else. Just type it in your search bar. You will find us. I am excited about that. So next week, I think I'm just going to come over there or Wex is going to come over here. I'm not really sure how we're going to work that out yet, but we're going to make it happen. I'm pretty sure that Jesse's going to be on the show with us too. I think we're also going to be doing some.
He did talk to me and he said, and I might be trying to get together with him for a Day 1 watch along. He might have something set up at one of the places that he works. We can watch it on the big TV.
Very cool. You guys should use the Twitch stream as well there. That would be awesome. Jesse's actually going to be able to get every few episodes in season 4. He's every maybe 4 to 6 weeks or so. It'll just be a Jesse Baker exclusive episode. It'll be his Baker's Dozen. It's essentially where he and a guest of his choosing kind of dissects a specific topic, like best high flyers or whatever, or just state of the business or whatever he decides to do. But I'm excited about that. I think it's going to add a new flair.
I don't know if he told you about he's also possibly helped us get some new indie spotlight shit set up.
Yeah, that would be dope. That would be dope as well. I'm very excited about the brand of Kayfabe Comparisons, being able to split off and do some different style things. It's going to be really fun. So yeah, man, that's looking at the next couple weeks. We're getting into season 4. Hope you guys are having a Merry Christmas. This is dropping to you on Christmas Eve, or Happy Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or Happy Holiday Season, whatever it is you choose.
Last night was a Festivus, great Festivus for the rest of us.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, glad you guys had that. All of you lost and forgotten souls. Let's keep it going here, man. You can always find me at Daniel Daybreak everywhere on the social webs. You can find the show at KayfabeCom everywhere except for TikTok. It's at KayfabeCom Pod. We have been neglecting the TikTok because we've been working on the YouTube. We've been neglecting the YouTube because it's been the holiday season. We have lives, guys. So we're going to try to get some more content out up there too, especially to promote for season 4. Also, be sure to go find us on Twitch and subscribe to that channel. We might actually just start doing some more streams as we do the episodes, and maybe you guys can hear some other topics. Maybe we'll get together and just talk about things that we like, football, video games, whatever. But yeah, be sure to follow us there on Twitch. That's going to do it for me. Wex, where can people find you?
You can always find your boy, once again, Wex Breakin' the Lawson at Wex Breakin' the Lawson on all your social medias, except for Facebook. I got a little alias on there. It's Wex Lee. If you know, you find me, you find me. If not, check out the Kayfabe Comparisons page.
Man, he's so cool. He's such a cool guy. That's going to do it for us this week. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy holidays.
We're out. Peace.